I want to quickly talk to you about capabilities statements. So the thing is, if you are actually if you're bidding on government contracts, sometimes it's important to really lay out the foundation for your profile, the foundation for your application. And the foundation is actually, you can really do so expertly in a capabilities statement. Okay. So that's what I want to talk to you into this conversation about. So you have a clear idea of how to really how to boost your profile, how to boost your application by having a well written, a well designed capabilities statement. Okay. So capability statements typically include your business's core competencies, past performance, differentiators, and corporate data. So corporate data meaning like your business bank account, your UEI, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So let me first show you. You can see on the screen here. Here is an example of a well-written capability statement. Okay, it's not about just. By the way, a capability statement doesn't have to be over multiple pages. No, it's usually on one page, very condensed, very straightforward. Okay, very straightforward data right away. As you can see on the screen here, this is a well-written capability statement that even has a QR code. Because if the government agency, if the procurement officer wants to check, or anybody else wants to check this capability statement, they can do so electronically. So that's pretty good. Okay. Bottom line is what? No matter the size of your business, you should have a capabilities statement. Okay. Especially if you want to be an approved vendor with the government. Because see, the thing is that government agencies actually pass on information from one agency to another. So even if one agency has approved you as a vendor, you want to have a capability statement so they can forward that info to other agencies. Okay, and so anytime you have a bid, anytime you bid on a government contract, you want to attach your capabilities statement. So, like any professional with a resume detailing their achievements, experience, and skills, every business should have the equivalent, okay? And so, a capability statement can be especially useful in a networking environment because it really saves you from cramming every point into one conversation. You can just give one page to your listeners, and they'll just go and do some research, okay? And but one thing for sure, you can tailor your capability statement also to your audience. Okay, that's pretty good from a flexibility point of view. So if you want to really win government contracts with your capability statement, you really need to understand that the formatting is really important. Remember, I told you before that you need to cram everything into one page, right? You do not want to have. It's not like a. The way I look at it, a capability statement is actually even more concise than a resume because a resume can be 2 pages, 3 pages, but a capability statement to be really effective has to be on one page, which means you got to be really careful as to the fonts you use, what kind of bullet points you are using, and also the word choices. So the focus here is on brevity. The focus is on conciseness. You have to be as brief as possible. Okay, so think about fonts, use bullet points, and think about the choice of words that you are going to you're going to really deploy. You may even want to consider hiring a graphic designer and or a professional writer to ensure that your capability statement actually is error free and pops big time. Okay. Ideally, your capability statement will be a living document, changing depending on the targeted agency. Okay. At the end of the day, you want to make sure it is like a resume, a condensed resume, because a resume you might actually adapt. You might adapt your resume to the hiring company, but at least the core of the message is still the same. Okay. So ask yourself the following questions before creating your government capabilities statement. Why am I in business? Okay. Why should the government award me a contract? In other words, where should an agency even consider me for a contract? And how can I create a standout resume for my business? Because that's what a capability statement is, right? Kind of similar to a resume. what are the unique properties that make my company unique? That's what I meant by differentiators. Differentiators, and what other information does the government need to do business with me? And like I said, you got to have your UEI, your unique entity identifier. That's really important. Okay. And one thing I want to say here is that knowing the answers to those questions in advance will help you streamline your capabilities statement and make sure that you hit all the most important key points. There are four main parts of a successful capabilities statement that all companies should focus on. This is basically you have about us, company overview, core competencies, past performance, and differentiators. Okay, those are the top four. Now you can have the fifth one. That's actually corporate data. So facilities or locations, company data, contact information, relevant codes such as UEI, CAGE, or NICS. So let me provide more details here. Let me talk to you about the About Us company overview section first so we have a clear idea. So one thing you need to understand here is that you want to include in your company's capability statement About Us section and About Us section, right? Here, you want to detail your company's history as well as an overview of the products and or services your company offers, right? It's all about being as granular as possible, but you don't have to really write tens of pages. Again, everything has to be on one page, okay? You may want to include how many years you've been you have been in business and a bit about the company's owner or CEO. This part is equivalent to an objectives statement on a personal resume. So again, it has to be short and sweet, yet powerful and engaging, okay? Otherwise, you're not going to retain the attention of procurement officers. Next, you have core competencies. So here, basically, you have to list the services and or products your company provides as they relate to your customers' specific needs. That's what I said a little earlier when I said you have to adapt your capabilities statement to the specific agency you're talking to. So from electrical design and cost estimating to project management and systems analytics, your core competencies can vary greatly depending on your industry. Be sure to include anything you believe will catch the eye of the client you are hoping to work with. Okay, so that's really important. So the core competencies, a section of a capabilities statement, is typically laid out in bullet form. Some companies also include icons next to each one to illustrate their offerings further. This can be a neat way to add interest to your capabilities statement, but don't overrun your page with graphics, right? You only have one page, okay? You can keep it both fun and professional at the same time, okay? So while this list of core competencies doesn't have to be in any specific order, starting with your company's most specific and specialized services is actually best. This will surely help you to differentiate your company from the best, and that's what you want to have. Okay, so this is important, and don't get bogged down with including every little thing your company has ever done on this list. This is not the point of the core competencies section. Instead, focus on what your company does best. This should be an overall tailored agency specific overview of what your business can uniquely offer. Now let's talk about the past performance. So I'm still talking to you about the capability statement, okay? Some of the things you need to really pay attention to in terms of capability statement. So when I say past performance, you have to understand that this is your past experience. This is the equivalent of your past experience on a resume. So bids are often awarded by price or a combination of value as well as past performance. So here you want to identify federal, states, and or local government contracts and private commercial contracts of similar scope, size, and complexity, right? The whole idea here is to show the government that you know your job. You know what you're talking about. You've done it before, and you're still doing it, by the way, okay? And any proof of past performance will surely set you apart from your competition. So here I'm speaking about professional references, okay? or if you won some awards, or if you let's say you have some certificates or licenses, whatever. Okay, whatever can help you, you want to really add it. You should prioritize this list with vendors whom you've done similar work for. If your company's past projects do not relate to the targeted agency's needs, you can leave them off the list. That's totally fine. However, if you are a relatively new business or a startup, you may want to list any past projects to show that you have some experience, because otherwise you're not getting the project. Okay. You may also want to, I would say, include the contact information of the people you have worked with on past projects. Okay, just in case procurement officers want to contact them directly. Also, think about your differentiators. So this is the one of the most important sections of your government capability statement. Okay, your differentiators. How does your business stand apart from the rest? What makes you different? Why should the government choose you? Okay, so you have to be. You imagine yourself as a government buyer or prime contractor with so many bids. Companies can easily blur together. So if you were a buyer or contractor, what would catch your eye? Okay, how's your company best suited for the needs of the agency? What about your products or services? Okay, what about them that set you apart from the rest? How does your product or service offer better solutions than the others available? So just be as differentiating as possible. Another section that's important when it comes to capabilities statement is actually your corporate data. Now, your corporate data really is quite essential in the sense that it goes into a database where the government keeps all the records, but also if the government has to contact you, if the government has to pay you, those are important element. Okay, so when I say corporate data, basically you're going from the general to the particular. So the general includes your location. So that's your business address, your headquarters. Okay, your location, relevant contact information, CEO, owner, CFO. I would say a main buyer, main contractor, and also the codes. As I mentioned, the codes before. So you have the UEI, CAGE, NICS. You have NICHP. Okay, so that's important. So you want to include your company's website in this section too. And on that note, ensure that your website is consistently updated with the latest information. The last thing you want is to actually include a link to an outdated website that will surely have a government buyer moving you to the bottom of their list. You do not want to have that. So update your website, make sure it's up to date, like make sure it has all the relevant links. And corporate data may also include your company's partners, enterprise architecture, computers, and or any other technology you can leverage to support your client, right? Because if you are going to win a contract and you're going to perform the work, technology has to be on your side. And so if you have a technological differentiator, you want to mention that here so that the procurement officer will be looking at your application more favorably. You also want to include a range of financial information about your firm, including your company's revenue over the last 3 periods, okay? 3 years, the number of employees over 3 periods, and the typical geographic areas you serve. If you serve the whole nation, that's fine. If you serve a specific state, that's fine too. You want to mention that, okay? What areas do you cover? What is your forecasted revenue for year end? Be sure to make it aggressive. Post any insurance or license information that you have and up-to-date contact information. So this is pretty important from an efficiency point of view. So gathering your content and laying out your capabilities statement is only half the battle, okay? And this document should be consistently maintained and updated as your business changes and grows. So let's talk about formatting. I spoke a little earlier about formatting, but now I want to really go to the bottom. I want to go more granular, okay, about formatting. So once you have created your capability statement, including all the sections that I just spoke about, right? The about us, the company overview, the core competencies, the past performance, the differentiators, corporate data, you want to ensure the document is laid out properly and saved in a compatible format for sharing. Okay, so capability statements can come in all forms, including HTML or web pages, QR codes, Word documents, PDFs, and even self-running CDs. Actually, that's totally possible, depending on your industry. What kind of trains are available in your industry? Okay, so your capabilities statement is your company's first impression. Remember that. So you want to make it stand out. It should be clear that you've spent time on this document and that it wasn't done in a last minute rush, okay? Typos, grammatical errors, and poor formatting are a sure way to lose out on a government deal, okay? So if you are printing it to hand out to others, use high quality, thick, glossy paper. Be sure that the colors used are consistent throughout your company letterhead, website, business cards, etc., right? And also, don't fill up every inch of your capability statement with words or graphic. Be sure to leave some white space for easy readability, right? You want to put yourself in the shoes of the reader and think about what will make them comfortable. So once you have a great capabilities statement, you have to really understand that those capability statements don't sell themselves out. They don't really market themselves. You got to really market yourself. You got to promote them. So networking becomes important. Okay, so you can have any wonderful capabilities statement, but if you are not able to network, those statements can be overlooked or sideswiped by someone who has built better connections throughout the year, right? So building relationships with purchasing officers that your competition already works with is actually essential. So you want to make sure that your offer is as good as those that your competitors have on the table, or even better. Don't let a competitor's success overwhelm or discourage you. Rather, let them motivate you to become bigger and better in terms of performance and success, right? This is a wonderful competitive field, and that's good for the economy. That's good for the government. That's good for all of us, okay? So you want to gather intel from purchasing officers about upcoming contracts and or vendor awards, okay? You want to keep building out. You want to keep building up your base of vendors that you work with, and you want to look for ways to scratch their backs so they can scratch yours later, right? There's nothing about, let's say, bribing them or corrupting them. No, they're humans, and it's important to build relationships, to build it beforehand. Okay, don't wait for the contract, like a contract to come out to actually start building relationship. No. So the capability statement is pretty much a resume for your company. So when giving out your capability statement, you want to make it stand out. Okay, so here are some tips. You want to use glossy, thicker paper. Present a seamless marketing profile, the same colors on all letterhead, business cards, websites, and a capabilities statement. Use graphics, okay, very important. You want to be creative. That's why I said you can actually hire a graphic designer. And you want to tailor your statement for specific uses, okay? Kind of similar to a resume. And also you want to update and refresh your capabilities statement, okay? So don't just keep recycling the same capability statement year after year. Be sure to always tailor it to the exact job you want and the agency that you are sending to, right? Because a resume, like a capability statement, is a living document. So if after 5 years you're still using the same resume or capability statement, that means you haven't had any progress in the last 5 years or 10 years, right? So you have to update it with relevant information, and also don't wait until the last minute to update your capabilities statement. Okay, it has to be an ongoing process throughout the year, so you are always ready to land the next big contract. Too many details can fall through the cracks, but if you stay on top of it, you'll surely get ahead of the game when it comes to actually winning a work, like winning a contract for in your specific niche. So as a coda into this conversation, I spoke to you about what you need to know about capabilities statement. Okay, I gave you a bird's eye view about the whole documents Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.